What is up, YouTube? Pink Reaper here, back with another Pokemon Showdown replay, but unlike the other ones I've uploaded, rather than showing off like what I consider to be a good battle, this is going to be the dumbest thing I've ever uploaded. So my other uploads recently, my other replays have really just wanted to show off like specific things, you know, strong plays, stuff like that. No, I just wanted to show off my Life Orb Gyarados in this game. And you will understand when I get to it. So here we got DTM's Old Gens. I don't know who that is. I don't know who DTM's is. But anyway, let's just go. So I'm playing my normal like Starmie, Breloom, Gyarados, Latios, Hippowdon, Scissor team that I play a lot. It's the one I actually laddered up with. When I was using my main account to ladder like high on Gen 4, which is now decayed a lot. Like, I don't even know how low it's decayed. I think it's like out of like into the like low 1500s at this point, out of like 1600 at some point. But anyway, so this is Choice Spec Starmie. My opponent leads with a Tyranitar. I have no fucking idea what lead Tyranitar wants to do. It's not something you see a lot. In general, if you're gonna run lead Tyranitar, you're probably running either, you're probably running a Stealth Rocks lead with like Chople or something, or you're like with max defense to survive Infernape, or you're running like Choice Scarf specifically to KO Starmie and Azelf, because with Sand up, you know, no matter what, Azelf's gonna die when you crunch it, because it's even if it's Focus Sash, it's gonna die. So, but I have literally no fear. This is lead Starmie. I click Hydro Pump. It just fucking dies. I don't think that crit mattered. I'm pretty sure even if that was max special defense, max HP, this is Choice Spec Starmie. It just fucking dies. So he brings out a Rotom Heat. Rotom Heat is almost always Choice Scarf. Like, generally, if you're seeing someone run a Rotom Heat, it's Choice Scarf. I don't know why, because 90% of the time, the set's always the same. It's Trick, Shadow Ball, Thunderbolt, and then either, like, Will-O-Wisp or, like, HP Ice if you're trying to be, like, actually offensive. It just depends. So it's really weird that everyone always just runs Rotom Heat for Scarf, but not Rotom Wash, which is what everyone runs otherwise. But anyway, I think part of it is just because in the old days, Rotom Heat was like, you always ran Overheat. Like, you had to have it to counter Scissor. Like, that was really important. It's a lot less important now, especially since Scissor has kind of fallen off in Gen 4. It's still incredibly good. It's just not like on every team. But yeah, Rotom Wash has now become the more common form to run, because if you are going to run its special attack, you want to run Hydro Pump rather than Overheat. But anyway, so he actually doubles here, which was, I guess, an okay play. I don't know what he was trying to catch. I'm assuming he thought I was going to go into T-Tar. I think he was trying to catch T-Tar, which I don't have. Instead I go into Hippo because, I mean, I can eat a Shadow Ball if I have to, but I'm expecting, you know, a T-Bolt, or I was even expecting a Trick, honestly. At this point, I just kind of wanted to get my my rocks up. So he goes Jirachi. I throw up rocks as he goes into Skarm, and that's when I realized, oh, I know exactly what team this guy's running. This guy's running Scarf Rotom, which is, again, I'm not sure if it's, because I don't actually know the team. I just know exactly which type of team he's running. He's running Scarf Rotom, he's running Specially Defensive Jirachi, he's running Spikes Skarmory, he's running T-Spikes and possibly Stealth Rocks Nidoqueen. He has a lot of things that can be his rocker. That Tyranitar might have been his rocker. And then that's Wish Protect Jirachi, and that's definitely Protect Nidoqueen. And then his last is almost certainly Clefable. There's only two things his last could be. It's going to be Clefable or it's going to be Blissey. And the fact that he didn't switch to it immediately on Starmie means that it's probably Clefable. Because Clefable, even specially defensive, doesn't actually deal well with like super strong special attackers. So I was like certain that was Clefable. His team really actually doesn't deal well with Starmie in general. Like super offensive Starmie really handles this team in particular. But I saw this and I'm like, oh, this is it. This is my game for Gyarados. So I throw up the rocks on his spikes. I roar him out on the next spikes just to get to, you know, force some things in. I was trying to get a little bit of extra damage on Rotom and things like that. So he does reveal Protect on Nidoqueen. I kind of assumed it was Protect, but it is what it is. So now this was the really obvious double. He's going to go to Skarm. If I wanted to take advantage of this to the maximum, I would have gone to Starmie, because there's nothing on his team that's going to take a Hydro Pump. Everything on his team is going to just fucking fold to Hydro Pump. But I was like, no, I want to do this way. So I go to Breloom here on the spikes for the free Spore. Since he doesn't go into... Oh, I guess I should point this out. The other thing that Rotom tends to be, especially on these stall teams, is Sleep Talk. It's Scarf, Sleep Talk. It's either Scarf, Sleep Talk 2 attacks with Trick, or it's Scarf, Sleep Talk with 3 attacks. It doesn't actually usually run Will-O-Wisp if it's Sleep Talk. Sometimes it does, but generally you don't want that against Breloom. You want 3 attacks to make sure it doesn't get a sub up. But the fact that he didn't go to it tells me that he's not Sleep Talk. So he goes into Nidoqueen here. I Spore it. I'm fine with getting Nidoqueen to a sleep. That thing's fucking annoying. So he goes to Skarm. I set up the sub. I'm going to go for the Focus Punch, obviously, just because, you know, I want the damage for my my Gyarados. So he goes for Drill Peck. Now at this point, it's kind of like he has to Drill Peck again, because if I Focus Punch on his Roost, he just dies. So I go hard into Gyara, get the Intimidate, don't take a ton of damage. Wait, what? No, he roosted. Okay, that was really dumb. Like I said, this is a dumb game. But anyway, so this is Gyarados Short Bus. I love Short Bus. So he roosts. So he's going to be Drill Peck, Spikes, Whirlwind, Roost. Absolutely. That's the only set he can possibly be. If I was Taunt Gyara, which is what this Gyarados would normally be, I'd probably just win here. Because I would Taunt, and then I just immediately go for Waterfall, and whatever comes in, more than likely Rotom, and it would just take so much damage that, like, he wouldn't be able to survive the next time Gyarados comes in. But I'm not that set. Instead, I go for Thunderbolt, dealing 47% damage, which tells me that this is a especially bulky Skarmory. But that's Short Bus for you. So my Gyarados is max attack, 168 special attack, and 88 speed. 88 speed allows me to outspeed Starmie at +1. Life Orb Thunderbolt with that many EVs deals like... It 2-hit KOs Starmie. Obviously, I'm not going to survive a Thunderbolt, but the important thing is if it's taken any like prior damage, it does like 80% to offensive Starmie. So it can actually deal a shitload of damage to Starmie. It also 1-hit KOs other Gyarados, and obviously it 2-hit KOs Skarmory with rocks, or if it's, you know, physically defensive. Unfortunately, this one's specially defensive. So I go EQ here on the very obvious Roost, just because I don't want him to get... If he's not at full HP, he can't deal with Short Bus. That's the important thing. So now I Whirlwind on what I know is going to be something like Spikes or anything like that. He ended up going for Drill Peck, and in comes a Rotom. So at this point, I'm still worried that he's Trick, and he actually almost certainly is Trick. And at this point, I don't want Hippowdon to die, because his team doesn't deal well with Hippowdon. So I go into Starmie on what I'm thinking might be a Trick, but he actually goes for Hidden Power Ice. Which, I don't know why you would do that. You may as well just go for Shadow Ball. It's basically the same base power, and it hits, you know, everything on my team, at least neutrally. At least that you've seen. So I get a free Hydro here. In comes the Clefable. That's his best switch, but as you can see, it's not a good switch. He can't switch anything else into it, though, so Clefable just dies. That's knockoff Soft-Boiled Heal Bell, and then third move, it could be Wish, could be Seismic Toss. It can be a lot of things. Max Bulk, it's just supposed to be kind of a utility mon on stall, if you've never seen that before. In comes Rotom again. I go to Hippowdon on what I'm expecting to be a Shadow Ball, but no, he Thunderbolts. DTM, you don't play a lot of old gen, do you? I know I said I needed to keep Hippowdon alive, but I could survive the Shadow Ball. So basically, here's my thought process. I can survive the Shadow Ball, and then I can switch into Scissor, which will absolutely take the Shadow Ball really well, and then I can just U-turn out if and then Hippo can actually recover on it can recover on Nidoqueen and it can recover on Skarmory. So that's why I switched to it. And then also obviously switching to Hippo covers if it did Thunderbolt. So I roar on the incoming Skarmory, in comes Nidoqueen. Oops. So now here, like again, obviously the Skarm's going to come in again because it wants to try and heal, or because my Hippo can't really hit it. My fourth move is Slack Off. So I just double directly into Short Bus. This is where I made a mistake. I forgot that I changed this set. So my original set is Taunt, DD, Bounce, Waterfall. I obviously don't have Bounce anymore. I replaced that with Thunderbolt. But I also don't have Taunt anymore. I replaced that with Earthquake. If I had remembered that at this point, I would have DD'd right then and there, because I knew he wasn't going to stay in with Skarm. I would have DD'd with Short Bus, and I could have just killed this Jirachi with EQ. Unfortunately, I knew he was going to switch, and I went hard for the Waterfall. I was expecting Jirachi to come in because I was like, well, he's gonna think he's gonna think I'm some weird set that doesn't run a move that can hit it or something like that, or maybe he might think I'm fully special. So he's gonna go to Jirachi. But yeah, so I Waterfall on the Switch, and then because I know he's Protect Jirachi, because especially defensive Jirachi is always Wish Protect. It's Wish Protect and then probably Body Slam, Iron Head, or it might be Thunderbolt. It might be Special, Thunderbolt Psychic, things like that. So I know he's going to Protect here to try and get up to an amount of health that'll survive the next Waterfall. But I still, I didn't want to risk... I didn't want to risk losing to this Jirachi, is the main thing. I knew in my head he's going to Protect. I was like, I should click Dragon Dance here, because then it's just a free Waterfall kill on something. But again, I just couldn't risk it. But again, he switches out here because he probably assumes I'm max speed. He might think I'm just max speed 4 attacks. So I Dragon Dance on the Switch when he tries to sack Skarmory. And then I just kill it. Because this forces in Rotom. He doesn't get a choice here. He has to go Rotom. So at this point, I'm expecting Thunderbolt. I know it's coming, but I still don't want to go to Hippo because I don't want to give him I don't want to give him a free switch into Jirachi, is I guess the way I would put it. The thing is, if he goes to Jirachi and Hippo's in, he can just start clicking Iron Head, and Hippo's at a I need Hippo alive. Hippo's my only good answer to Jirachi. So realistically, what I should have done here is just sacked Gyarados. But I didn't want to. I just go hard Scissor. Take the T-Bolt, don't die. Don't have a way to hit this Rotom. I just Bullet Punch. In case he went into Jirachi, it would have done a reasonable enough amount of damage that he'd want to Wish there, and it would give me a free switch into Starmie. In comes Nidoqueen on the Slack Off. He didn't really have a choice. He had to switch out there. This is actually what I wanted. I needed Hippo to come in on a Jirachi that can't do anything, so I could Slack Off. If he Shadow Balled against Gyarados, it would have killed. And then I still could have gone to Scissor, but at that point he's more incentivized to switch out. Because he T-Bolted, Scissor dies, and then I just get a free switch into Hippo, and Hippo can max HP. Nidoqueen has not burned any sleep turns, so I just go for the EQ. It does a surprising amount of damage. I am no investment Hippowdon, and I understand that Hippowdon's base 112 attack, and that's stab EQ, but generally Nidoqueens are max physically defensive, So that'll usually only do about 35 to 40%, but that did 52. And at this point, I'm thinking, oh, he's not invested enough to survive that. That's probably a roll. What he should have done here is, honestly, sack it. Like, he doesn't... Like, I feel like he should have just gone to Rotom and let it die. Like, when I slacked off, he should have done that and then just gone hard into Jirachi. Because at that point, that was his win condition anyway. It's just flinching me down with Jirachi. He protects. I can't really do anything about that. I just gotta start clicking EQ. I don't have another move. He does start going for Iron Head flinches. I am considering it, like, at this point, I was considering, like, if I got flinched on this one, what I was likely going to do is hard into Gyara and not die to Iron Head because it's going to be -1. And then probably, like, at that point, just go right back into Hippowdon because -1 Iron Head's only going to be doing about 12%. So even though I'm taking 25% from spikes, I can just start spamming Slack Off, and then if he switches to Rotom to sack it and get rid of the -1, I can just go right back to Gyara. But I got the Earthquake off, he dies. So the other thing is, because he didn't... if he had it, he should have probably risked Body Slam. He should have just gone for the full para, because without paralyzing Hippowdon, like, that was... his chances of winning were incredibly slim. I also had... I did also have... I have Scarf Latios in the back. I could have tricked it and then forced it to, like, be stuck in a single move if I absolutely needed to, but yeah, that's Short Bus, the Gyarados. The entire purpose of this Gyarados is that it deals really well with this kind of team. Like, look at the only Mon that he had that really took a hit, or that really dealt with it, was this Rotom. If the Rotom died and I got to +1, nothing on his team actually dealt with this Gyarados. Now, that's actually usually true for Stall in general if you're running Taunt. But the thing with Taunt Gyarados is if that's max physically defensive Skarmory, even if you taunt it and start DDing, generally, since Skarmories in Gen 4 always run an attack, they have to, for things like Taunt Gyarados, which is incredibly common in Gen 4. What ends up happening is you start getting hit with Brave Birds and you start getting hit with Drill Pecks, and, like, Sand is up because, look, he started with the Sandmon. So you're taking Drill Peck damage and you're taking Sand damage, and you have to get it, like, +2 to even 2-hit KO Skarm. So it's like Taunt, Dragon Dance, Taunt ends, so you have to Taunt again, and you're just getting hit constantly with these. It's not quite as good, but with Short Bus over here, you just T-bolt the Skarmory for 80% if it's physically defensive, and then it's like, okay, well, if you Whirlwinded me out, almost everything else on my team is going to deal with you. So, yeah. So that's sort of the point of this Gyarados. I thought it was funny. I was looking up calcs for it, and I'm like, oh my god, this actually works. So I did it. I put Life Orb Special Thunderbolt Gyarados on my team. Obviously, the other thing that, like, stall teams do like to run is, like, Sleep Talk defensive Gyarados. What else do they run? They do have a tendency to run, what do you call it? Instead of Scarf Rotom, they have a tendency to run Fat Rotom with, like, Scarf Flygon. You'll almost always see a Scarfmon on stall teams in Gen 4. It's usually Jirachi, Rotom, or Flygon, because it needs to be something that can one-hit KO Gyarados, basically. You need something with an electric move. So it's Thunder Punch Jirachi, it's Thunder Punch... Thunder Punch... I have this on shuffle, don't I? It's Thunder Punch Flygon, and then obviously it's Discharge or Thunderbolt Rotom to be able to one-hit KO Gyarados. And generally, you don't see anything else on Scarfed, at least on stall teams. The other reason is just because, like, Rotom, you can run a little bit of bulk with Trick, and it can still work if you don't need it to cover Gyarados, like if your opponent doesn't have a Gyarados. And then, obviously, Jirachi and Flygon work really well with U-turn and dealing with Starmie, which Stall teams have a tendency to deal poorly with if you're not running Blissey. Anyway, yeah, that is my really stupid short bus Gyarados team. I don't know, you might see this one again. I just think it's a funny Pokemon. But until the next one, guys, this has been Pink Reaper signing out.